Hey, it's me, Brett Jones. This is lesson number 3, I believe. I'm trying to give them numbers so we can keep everything in order here. I'm actually going to be pulling from the book today, and probably will be pulling from the book from now on. So I want to talk a little bit about Save the Cat, and here is the lovely cover of the book by Blake Snyder. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago, but he wrote a very influential book that deals with screenplay writing. But as I have said in other videos, it is very influential in other areas as well. So today we're going to start talking about some of the meaty things that he has in the book. It's a quick read. I hope you're reading it. Read. It doesn't read like a textbook. It's very conversational. It's very straightforward. It's very helpful. So I want to talk today about the log line first and what that is. Now, I know that some of you may be thinking about writing a play. Some of you may be thinking about writing a screenplay. It's okay, because all of these hints are going to be able to help you in either way. Okay, so before we get to the log line, I want to mention that I put script format file out there for you to look at. It's one file. It's got theater in it, and it's got screenplays. You need to be writing in the format. Formatting is so important, because if scripts are turned in to anyone who's looking to produce and it's not in the format, it goes in the trash. That's just the way that it goes. So formatting is very simple. You can take a look at it in screenplays. The dialogue is centered and the action is from margin to margin. In theater, it's reversed. In both, the names are centered and in all caps. And there are other bits and bobs in there that you can look, but take time and look at the formatting. It takes a little bit of practice to get the formatting down, but you'll get it down. It's a piece of cake, all right? Every play starts off with "at rise" at the beginning, and every screenplay starts off on the very right, "fade in." And you'll see that in the script formatting. So formatting is also very important. Hopefully, if we remote, we will talk about this, okay? Okay, the log line. All right, or sometimes it's referred to as the one line. It is usually one sentence, sometimes it's two, that completely summarizes the entire story of your script. And if you look in the book, he has got several examples. All right, so I'll read a couple. A newly married couple must spend Christmas Day at each of their 4 divorced parents' homes. A just hired employee goes on a company weekend and soon discovers someone's trying to kill him. Okay, so you don't mention names, you don't mention character names, you mention the individual. All right. The first one, a married couple. The second one, an employee. There's usually an adjective of some kind. I've sometimes seen a log line that says a plucky college student. Following that, you need an action verb, and then you deal with the conflict of what it is that they're trying to face. So a log line is something that, especially in screenplays, that's what everybody looks at first. So you're trying to hook everybody in their interest into your story by that one sentence summation. He has one for Die Hard and Pretty Woman. A cop comes to LA to visit his estranged wife, and her office building is taken over by terrorists. A businessman falls in love with a hooker he hires to be his date for the weekend. Those completely summarize the story, all right? And it's meant to have a hook in there that really pulls you in and gives you a compelling image of what this story could be about, what it could be. So you need to practice with your story, and I hope you're coming up with a story or already have your story ready to go. You need to write your log line, and when you turn in your character descriptions, go ahead and put it with that. That's the easiest way to do it. Just go ahead and put it with the character descriptions. So the log line is meant to give us a clear mental picture, an image of what this story can be, the possibilities, the tone, the style, the mood of the piece. Log lines are very, very important. Okay? Very important. Because, again, scripts are meant to be produced. They're meant to be given to a producer to produce and put on, either on the stage or in front of the camera. So anything that we can provide that's going to help folks out to do that, that's what we do. And so the log line is the really first big step that you need to do in script writing. Okay. So it's very important for you to take some time, really think about that, and write your log line. If you don't like the log lines in the book, you can do a search online. You'll find several. The title, he spends some time talking about the title and how important the title is. I spend a lot of time on title because I want the title to absolutely catch the mood and the tone of what it is that I'm trying to create. So the last thing that I produced there at the school was a sitcom called Thrilled to Announce. And to me, that title is perfect because it sums up everything about that place. And that place is an apartment with 4 actors living in Chicago trying to live the dream. 3 girls and a guy. They already think they're superstars even though that they're not. So Thrilled to Announce gives us this idea that they are constantly working. It's a positive place. It's bubbly. It's fun. And they're wanting to share with the world that they're stars. Anytime they get anything, they want to share with everybody. They're thrilled to announce that they've been cast as the 14th extra in the back of this TV show. And if you're lucky, you might catch me when it's shown. That kind of a thing. So the title is very important. It needs to be catchy. It needs to be solid. Some are one word, some are long, some are in between. Some really capture everything about the moment. Some titles are very famous. Star Wars, very famous. The Lord of the Rings, very famous title right there. The Raiders of the Lost Ark, very dynamic title. It tells you everything that's going to happen in there. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be an action adventure story. So you better buckle up. Okay. So you can really be thinking about that as well. When you get your title, you can let me know that as well. But sometimes titles aren't that easy to come up with. Sometimes they come later. So it's really just up to you. All right. But definitely I need to see the title, the log line with the character descriptions. Okay. So I am going through the book here. There's some great exercises. There's some really wonderful things in here that can help you as a writer. As far as your story, you need to figure out what type of story that it is. He's got this phenomenal chapter where he's dealing with movies here, but I think you can definitely apply it to any story. He breaks movies down into 10 different categories, and I love the titles of them, and you can follow along in the book. Monster in the House, Golden Fleece, Out of the Bottle, Dude with a Problem, Rites of Passage, Buddy Love, Why Done It, The Fool Triumphant, Institutionalized, and Superhero. So think about your genre, okay? Monster in the House, it's a monster. I mean, it's just, what is the monster? And he gives a list: Jaws, Tremors, Alien, The Exorcist, Fatal Attraction, Panic Room. Those are all great examples. What is the monster? there's some kind of monster that we have to face. Sometimes it's a real thing or a supernatural thing, but there's a monster that we have to face. Golden Fleece is where we're on a quest. So Star Wars, Wizard of Oz, planes, trains, automobiles, Back to the Future, he lists those. You're after something. You're after the golden fleece like Jason was with the Argonauts. All right, that's why he uses golden fleece. Out of the bottle, this is where his examples here are Liar Liar, Bruce Almighty, Love Potion #9, Freaky Friday, Flubber. There's something magical or supernatural or scientific that is released into the world, that's released into the environment. And we have to deal with that somehow, okay? Dude with a Problem, I think, is very self-explanatory. We mentioned Die Hard. Die Hard's perfect. Dude with a Problem story. Rites of Passage, that usually is dealing with a change of life. And we see a lot of those rites of passage stories with young people getting into their young adult life. But we also see a lot of stories that deal with that passage into old age. On Golden Pond is a perfect example of that. Buddy Love, this has been around forever, but you're putting two people together that are complete opposites, and they attract and they save the world, or they conquer all, or whatever it is. Dumb and Dumber is listed. Rain Man is listed. Any buddy cop movie that's ever been done. Thelma and Louise, on and on and on. Instead of who done it, he mentions why done it, because that's really something that's changed in the past, 60, 70 years in mystery writing, okay? So when mysteries were first really being written for the stage and in short stories and novels, it was really about who did it. Who did it? And once we really started applying psychology, sociology, and really trying to psychoanalyze our characters in the mystery, we were more interested in the why. Why did they do it? Yes, who's important, but why? Okay. So the most recent Why Done It is Knives Out, and there's going to be a sequel to that. But there are a lot of why done it. Why did this terrible crime occur? And we don't find that out until the very end. The Fool Triumphant. This is a character that really shouldn't win at anything because they're simple, or they're slow, or they're somehow removed from society, or they're unique. And he mentions Forrest Gump, The Jerk, Amadeus. Those are classics. He also mentions the silent film clowns like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd. Those are perfect Fool Triumphant, especially Buster Keaton. Just the underdog that ends up winning. Institutionalized, this is a story that is set or impacted by some kind of institution. So he mentions Animal House, which deals with college fraternity life. MASH, which deals with being in the medical corps during the Korean War. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is in an insane asylum, and on and on and on. Okay. He also mentions The Godfather, which is an Italian mafioso family. But being a part of that institution and what it does. And of course, superhero. And it doesn't get any more obvious than that right there. Someone that's just larger than life and ends up conquering. So the easy ones are Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, all of those mans. But there are others too. On the horrific side, you can look at Dracula, Frankenstein, and his monster. Something about them is just beyond the regular human being. It can also be a real situation. He mentions a beautiful mind as well. So I would encourage you to read each of the descriptions of those in the book, because he does a much better job than I will do, but it's pretty self-explanatory with the title. But I would go ahead and read it. It's a quick read, and figure out where your story is. Where is your story as far as a genre? Is it Dude with a Problem? Is it superhero? where does it fit in? And again, when you see a story, watching a movie, put it in its genre. What kind of genre is it? All right. Pretty simple. Once you practice it, it becomes pretty quick. You can do it very quickly. Okay, so we've got the log line, we've got the genres that we want to think about. And I really am trying to get us to the beat sheet. He's got a really good chapter here that deals with archetypes for actors and those kinds of things. So it really is good for you to think about who could possibly play your character. It helps visualize. And so think about that. What kind of characters are you thinking about in your story, and who would portray them? If you had all the money in the world and you could portray them by making a contract with whatever actor, who would play those parts? I think that really helps in the writing process. Okay. So think about that log line. The log line is really important stuff. Okay. So this is a little bit shorter lesson, but pay attention, put the log line with the character descriptions, turn that into me, and think about the genre of your story and be writing. You need to be writing. Get 2 to 3 pages down every single day. And if you keep on going, keep on going. Okay? All right. I believe in lesson 4, we're actually going to start dealing with the beat sheet. And I put 2 versions out there. I put the full version for 110-page feature length, which we are not writing. And then I broke it down to a 50-page script. And it's broken down by page breakdown and everything. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. If you have any problems or questions, please reach out. And if we need to have a one-on-one to talk about your story and clarify some things, that's great. Or you can just wait for the remote and we can talk about it together as a group. Okay, deuces.